Hey, it's Adam with the Productivity Academy. Today I wanted to show you a setup I've been using in ClickUp that really combines a few things, and I'll show you exactly how I'm using it, but I'll kind of do a test setup. And basically what this does is allows you to keep track of potential projects or projects that are in progress, and then how to kind of create your own filter using the ICE framework so you know what you should be working on. Now, I found this really useful to keep a high level overview of several different businesses. I think that there's better ways to do actual project management, like getting into the nuts and bolts of like, here's the individual tasks and all this stuff. But I know in my life and a lot of other people's, we have more than one thing going on. You may just have your work and your personal life, but that already is two things. Maybe you have work, personal life, kids, or work, personal life, kids, side hustle, business number one, business number two. And keeping track of some of this stuff can get complicated, and then the ideas that you have. And so it's kind of nice to have one area. And if you're like me, you're that person who wants to kind of keep track or keep tabs, or in your business, maybe you're the person who's got the ideas and you're keeping track of all this stuff, whatever it may be. I've found this to be really, really helpful. So let me show you how I've done this in ClickUp. You can, of course, apply this to a bunch of different areas. So what I've started out with is just a folder. There's a lot of different ways to do this, but what I want to also create is a board. But as an example, I'm going to add some other columns over here. I took this from Brian Harris. He had written a really good article about email marketing and was talking about how he goes through and what does he use to filter out what he should be working on. And it's the acronym ICE or ICE. And he's assigning on a scale of 1 to 10 these three areas. The I being impact. How impactful do I think this is going to be? And that can really be anything. It could be, how much money is this going to make? How much donations will this result in? How awesome will my life be afterwards? Right? You can, adjust that as you need to. But I like that. That's the flexibility of it. So 1 to 10. And then the C is confidence. How confident are you that this will have that intended impact, result, whatever that is? How confident are you that you can do this, whatever that may be? All right. And then the E is ease. How easy is it on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 is like snap your fingers, boom, done. 1 might be, the most torturous minefield of like you have no idea, or it's going to be insanely hard to do. So just to give yourself a little bit of an idea, and then you add those things up. And then that will help give you an idea. Now, I've done this too, where if you want to get a little bit more nerdy on the math side of this, you can exponentiate all of those and then divide by something. So like example, take them all to like the power 10, add them together and divide by 1,000 or 10,000. And all that does is as your assigned values get higher, it makes those much more impactful, if you will. But we're going to start with the simple version here, just to add things up. So let's go in first of all and ClickUp and add those, because we need to add columns, and then we need a column that adds those together. So I'm going to hide the priority one. I'm not as worried about that right now, so you can just hide that. And then let's add a column, and we want it to be a number. So we're going to call this I impact. A number, add that. Okay, now we need to do the C. It's also going to be a number, and that is confidence. And the last one is also a number. This is ease for E. Okay, now last column is going to be a formula. And this is, we'll call it the ICE rating. That's going to be the sum. Okay, now I'm going to set up an example, and I'm just going to input that in so we have something to do. We're just going to say that the impact is a 6, the confidence is an 8, and the ease is an 8. Okay. Now, what we want to do here is, I've used this. There may be other ways to do this, but I just use the advanced editor. This makes, to me, it so much easier. I just click on that, plus that, plus that. Click on calculate. There we go. We've got a rating. So now let's take another one and say creating video about the ICE framework for ideas. Okay. Same thing, we can do impact. Well, hopefully this is going to be pretty impactful for me and you. Confidence I can do it was really high. And ease is going to be a 6. And the reason I gave it a 6 was I had the doorbell ring while I'm typing this stuff in. It was just like, oh no, getting distracted, but was able to handle that and back with it. So anyways, adding all of this stuff together, right, you start to see quickly, and it looks really simple, and I get it with two of these. But once you have maybe a lot of ideas or you've got a lot of things going on, it can get confusing, right? And so it's nice to have this right there and say, oh, okay, well, clearly it's giving me an idea. And some of this stuff is subjective, but what it forces you to do is to put some numbers to things, and if nothing else, it can be relative. You could say, example and this, between those two, you can, once you start comparing them, you could say, oh, okay, well, I gave this one an impact of 6. I know that creating the video would be more impactful, so it's got to be more than a 6. And as you can kind of go through there, you can kind of triage things and rank them relative to each other. It's not like there's some arbitrary, completely true rating system that'll work. But that's the point of doing all of this, is going through and helping you kind of triage and quickly come to an answer of like, oh, this is what we should be working on first. Maybe here's the second thing. And then like, wow, here's all these things that we thought were good ideas, but compared to the rest of the stuff, we can just forget about them for now. So something else I want to share with you that I like having a board view. When it comes to these, the list doesn't work for me as well. I enjoy using lists and stuff like that, but let's go in and look at this. I like it much more this way. So we could change the statuses, of course. I don't have it set up for anything in particular. We could have working on it, stuck, feedback needed. I mean, it can be whatever. In general, for like an idea or a high level board, I would have something more like ideas. Working on it and completed, just keeping it real simple, so I can look and say, okay, for this business, here's some things where we think we want to be working on. Here's things that are in progress, so we could review those during a meeting. And then here's things that are done. Maybe we just keep that around just if it needs review or something like that. So the thing that is missing from this view that I figured out with the help of ClickUp support was like, once you switch to the board view, you lose the rating. And so you can come in here and you can click on the task and see it. But if you want to see that over here, you need to click on show, come down to custom fields and click on the rating or whatever it is that you named it. And now you can see all of those things right there. And so what I would like to see in the future is the ability to sort by that, which you can't, but you can quickly see this and you could scroll through and figure that out. So I find this to be really helpful. I've started implementing it this week. It's something I've done more manually. But was really happy to see that this is something I could do in ClickUp. So hopefully this will help you too. Figure out how to keep track of your projects, your ideas, get them kind of triaged using that ICE framework, find out what you should be working on so you can put more stuff into action, get the results.